just can't follow through. I've got to let go of you. I've got to let go. I've got to let go of you. I got to let go. I've got to let go of you. I've got to let go of you. Got to let go of you. I've got to let go. Bring my way out as I go. Find who I am as I know. Meet my own stage in my show. That's why I've got to be who I am. I'm gonna be myself again. So this is the end. I've got to let go of you. I've got to let go. I've got to let go of you. I got to let go. I've got to let go of you. I've got to let go of you. I've got to let go of you. I've got to let go.
Tales of our endeavors proliferate. Tales of our endeavors proliferate.
When the day turns into night, my hash browns turn into my new $3 Munchie Mash.
How's everybody doing today? Just setting up Scrivener here so that you guys can see it clearly. I apologize in advance for still trying to get everything put together. My operating system died yesterday, so I'm still trying to get everything back the way I need it to be. It's just a little frustrating. So, let's go ahead and bring Scrivener up. Oh, of course it changed its size on me, because I changed its size on the screen. So I'm going to continue today working on the story, my novel. Goal is to continue working on this thing. Sorry, I'm trying to move my camera. It's not playing nice. So I can shift myself down here. There we go. The goal is to keep working on this when I don't have work to do for this morning one, and probably even still when I do. Just gives me a nice little writing primer to get started with the day. Always good to have that. Should always try to get 100 words in a day, kids. If you want to be a writer, if you want to be an author, you got to be professional. Which means you gotta do what professionals do, and that's do the job every day. It's really easy to justify not doing the things that you need to do. It's very easy to justify not doing the things you need to do for your job. There's always other things you need to do, especially when you work from home. So, hey, Karam. I'm just going to call you Karam. Good morning. I'm not cross-stitching today. That'll be later today. I'm not cross-stitching right now. That'll be later today. I'm doing some writing. And I'm continuing work on the third in a series of novels. The first of which is published, and you can see right here, Rise by me. You can get it wherever you get books. I highly recommend the Audible version. That's my microphone. There we go. So yep, I'm going to continue working on that today. How are you this morning, Karam? It's nice of you to join me at such an early hour. I find my wife and I were discussing the irony of part of the reason I got out of my previous job is because I didn't like getting up or being forced to get up early, and now I voluntarily get up early so I can get my day started. Oh, the irony of what you do to yourself when it's your choice versus what you do when someone else tries to make you do it. Enjoyed having my conversation with Katz yesterday, Karam. Discussed a lot of cross-stitching things. I actually ended up cross-stitching for like 2 hours yesterday. Had the lovely Insta-Fluff over. See if that actually works this time. No, it's still giving me a headache. But if you go to this channel, give him a little follow, you won't regret it. He's a great streamer, and came over yesterday and watched me for an hour and a half. Ooh. Alright, so last scene. Yep, we left off with Vincent and Morris wondering what happened to the character that had thrown himself out a window. I'm curious here. I need to refresh my memory because it's been a while since I wrote any of the. Yeah, so it was a very short sequence. Okay, that works. If you're new to the series, the story is being told by a scribe who went and interviewed these characters. It's not clear yet from the information that's been sent to me on whether or not they were being interviewed during or after the story. It's not really been made clear. That's okay. Doesn't have to be. So she's gathering these stories and then she's putting them into as readable a form as she possibly can. Which, if you get a copy of Rise, either digital or paperback, if you look at the appendix at the end, you'll get a taste of what she's had to deal with trying to deal with everybody. Yep. Particularly a certain person who I'm about to write about. The nice thing about starting your stream, you're starting your writing fresh with a new scene, is that the little counter at the bottom tells you exactly how much you've written for the day. Although it's the nice thing about Scrivener. If I want to, I can go in here. I'm still learning Scrivener. Ah, here it is. It'll give you stats. It'll give you like total stats for it, so I'm already up to like 16,000 words, which means I really need to start moving on to get fully into Act 2 here soon. Because like I said last time I was writing, I'm trying to stay under 100,000. Last time we did this, which was Monday. You can set, however, see this thing's right here. Okay, so this is, I don't know how visible this is. It's not visible to you. So I have a manuscript target here that is, let's see if it'll let me capture it. Just gonna try and see. No, it's not something that's separate, so I can't do it like a screen. Let me remove that. So there you go, now you can see it. So I'll make it nice and big for you. So there, that gives you an idea of the target. So I can set a goal. I've set 100,000, And each session is 300. I always aim for 100, but I figure if I aim for 300, I'm whatever, regardless of what I get, it'll be way over that. So, and that thing will stay on your screen, and as you reach your goal, that bar will go from red to yellow to green. I gotta let someone know so that I'm not ignoring them. I was having a conversation with an author, something I might actually discuss at the end of this one. It's about other books. Because as a writer, as an author, I like to read what other people are doing, especially in other genres, because you can get ideas of new ways to employ voice and different things that are common to other genres that might not be in yours but could be used. That's going to become especially important for After Man, because that's more of a mystery set in a hard science fiction story. So I really need to have a good grasp on mystery, which also connects to the conversation I was having with him, but I'll discuss that later. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to break that fourth wall, but try not to be so on the nose about it. I don't like it when authors write themselves into stories. I've seen, unfortunately, read some books recently where authors have done that, and they're basically just passing themselves off as what they're trying to do. What Tolkien did with Bilbo. Bilbo's the one that was writing The Lord of the Rings. He put it all together later, once he talked to Frodo. But really, he wrote The Hobbit. That was his story, there and back again, as he called it. And it was just a cute little way for Tolkien to kind of throw himself in the story. It was original when he did it. It's not so original anymore. And so when writers try to write themselves into the story, it kind of is, unless they're really original about it, it can just be a little bit annoying. So what I'm trying to do here is not necessarily put myself into the story, but I'm trying to break that fourth wall with the reader, to have these characters who know they're being interviewed, who know this is all going to be written down, occasionally make little coy comments like this, just to kind of fill the story up a little bit more, give it a little more character in these little sidebars that they do, and make jokes about the fact that what thinks she's going to do, which explains what I'm about to write. Put this up here. so again, it's a very short scene. I've hit my day. I've hit my minimum goal for the day. I try to keep these interludes as narrow as possible because I don't want them to go on for very long. So now we go to the next one. Add a new chapter. This one is going to be scene 3 with Quentin as the thing. You can't see it up there in the corner, but it's 3Q is what that says. Oh, should post a little something here. Tune in later today for another cross stitch stream. I'll be doing that probably around 3 o'clock. But I might actually do it at 2. My evening is a little different because I'm going to be on a podcast later, the Geek Questioner podcast. It'll get it up wherever podcasts are downloaded after Sunday. It will be uploaded Sunday. So because of that, my evening's a little bit different with family night and everything. And because I want to hopefully do a stream with Zoe at some point, although she may have eliminated that for today. We'll have to see. Oh, dang it. I forgot to fix that for you guys. Hold on. I'm going to fix something so you guys can see what's actually playing. As I said, lost everything. I've had to go back and recreate it all. Layers. Okay, so in theory, that should fix it. So soon that little currently playing at the bottom will start actually showing the links. In theory, we shall see. Don't know yet. Telling an author friend of mine who I actually went to DragonCon with and who is a DragonCon Award nominee, 2-time Dragon Award nominee, and author of the just recently released A God in the Shed, J.F. Dubois. He is a friend of mine from a podcast community, and he got me onto Inkshares, and it's kind of just me and him just chit-chat about books we're reading and writing and being an author and all kinds of stuff. So I just let him know he could come listen to me ramble. Okay, so real quick, how did this scene end? We are at... Yeah, so he's unconscious. Yeah, just do it. tend to be a bit wordy when I first go through, and I have to go through later and edit some of that out. I try to combat it when I write, but I also have to be aware of the fact that I need to actually keep writing in order to make sure that I don't get bogged down in those little details. I forgot to... So, looks like my work queue is empty for the day. It's not bad. Oh, the game mechanic's on. I'll be hopping over, tossing him a host when I get done. Sorry, my author friend was commenting, so I let him know that if he happens to stop by and he sits there quietly, that lurkers are welcome. We all love lurkers. Okay, it wasn't a room, but a cave. Yeah, it's too wordy. That doesn't seem to have fixed it. Let's try one more thing. What is going on with this thing? There we go. Is this the right room? Is it? There, that should fix it. But if it doesn't, I got one more trick I can pull. We shall see. fix it? Nope, still being a bud. That's okay. Just to reload this overlay and shift it back where it belongs. Something's broken with it. I'll fix it later. See, the annoying part is it's showing it in the online version, but it keeps refusing to update into into OBS. Oh no, there it is. It's working now. Yay! So now you can see the lovely music from the station I made just for this. It's just a bit loud, but we shall see how that goes. Okay, there we go. And once again, also want to thank my hosts, Pixel Sharks, Ion B, JPZ Mineezy, and Chalice Mike, the faithful followers. Some on auto, some on manual. For me, it doesn't matter which. In fact, I saw JP Neezy was in here a little bit. If he's still around, thanks, my man, for the host. Always appreciate it. So it's a matter of how much detail you want to go into, like what's absolutely necessary, but then what can you add in there that will. You can't just leave all these little things out, because if you do, you kind of, that's the best way to put it, it just becomes very cold. It's like hard, like you're just hitting only the things that need to be said. You got to add some flavor in there some places. Okay, so I've cleared 400 words for the day, and I'm going to call it there. That's the other one. Get the right one, Brian. Get the right one. Alright, so that's gonna be it for today. Tomorrow I should do one, but it's not gonna be as early. In fact, I will be writing, but it's not gonna be as early. I have to adjust that on the schedule. I think on the channel it says that it's going to be at 8 o'clock in the morning, and there's no way I'm getting up that early on a Saturday if I don't have to. So, so the conversation I was having earlier, this is about books, and we were basically discussing a more recent novel that was doing its best to emulate a classic story from the 19th century. I'm pretty sure 19th century. Anyway, it was around the same time as Sherlock Holmes was being written, which is another story that came up. Basically how the two of them had a very distinct voice to them, a very distinct style of how they were written. The term best used to describe the first book, Bram Stoker's Dracula, it's epistolary, so it's being told through letters, like like through an epistle, sort of like how the New Testament's written. But Bram Stoker, it's basically the story, someone writing the story afterward in the form of like a letter or a journal. And this book that I'm currently reading is doing its best to emulate that. The problem is, Bram Stoker's Dracula was written in a time when, it was pretty much the beginning of that kind of story coming mainstream. It was written at a time when that kind of methodical approach to telling a story was new for that genre. It was common to the time. See Sherlock Holmes as another example. It was new at the time, but now here we are 130, 150 years later, and trying to write a story in the same fashion doesn't come across the same way. There's definitely something lost in the story, so as I was describing to my author friend earlier when we were discussing it. There's nothing about the story that makes me care about these characters. I honestly had a hard time. If you were to press me, I would have a hard time telling you which of the particular characters whose letters or journals we were hearing retold to us, because I'm listening to it on audio. I couldn't tell you their names. There's just a bunch of different people at different levels I'm trying to be as vague about this as possible because I don't want to identify the book. But I couldn't tell you. And I was also lamenting the fact that there was only 2 females in the story so far, and actually I was wrong. There was actually only one. The other one that I thought was a separate one was actually the first one in disguise. Another issue I had with it is the author, when they made the story, this author made the story, they blatantly put themselves in the story as the intrepid journalist / writer who discovered the story and is now bringing it to the world, shedding light on this dark chapter of history. He highlights that that this stuff is translated from another language. Well, the problem is, it's all being translated, right? So, but it's all being translated, like most of it's from the language of the people whose letters he's reading, or in one case a journal, and another one a supposed unpublished story by another character. They're all being translated from one language, and in some of these letters, the authors passed along eyewitness accounts from someone who was telling the story in another language, but they translated it into the primary language of the people writing the stories. Also the person who wrote the unpublished story and the journals, same language for all of them, translated it. And they wouldn't have translated it so stiltingly. They would have smoothed it out. And then when it was then translated into English for the story, that's supposedly a tale, alternate history tale, which it clearly is. It's not an actual fact. It's a clearly fictional story, so it's definitely alt history. But when it was translated to be presented to us, again, why would they translate it in such a stilting, like the English is clearly broken, like the sentences are intentionally broken up. It was basically he was conveying someone who barely spoke English. Problem is, he wasn't speaking English. He was speaking a different language. He was speaking a different telling that story in the language of all the people who were interrogating him, trying to get his eyewitness account. So he would have been translating it from that language, not from the original language, into English. So it doesn't make sense to me why he would do that. And it was really hard to stay focused on that section because I was thinking the whole time, this is just not right. It's not accurate. This is not how this particular group of people who've been interrogating him would have reported this. They would have intentionally made it sound as clear as possible because they knew who their superiors were and they wouldn't want to deal with such broken, stilted language. So I'm going to finish reading it. When I'm done, I'll leave a review and then I may talk about the actual book itself, but no, it's hard to make it through. But again, it's a different era. He's trying to write in a style that's modeled after the original story, and it's just doesn't do it for me. So I will struggle through. It's my current I'm doing chores thing. So okay, so I'll be back later today, probably at 2:00 to do a creative stream. If not, it's just because I got too busy doing stuff around the house. We are still unpacking as we moved here. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you later.